Welcome to CMOs Off Script. We're experts in healthcare marketing, and each week we'll tackle one topic with unfiltered advice you won't hear anywhere else. Let's jump in. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of CMOs Off Script. Today we're talking about a hot topic. I mean, all of our topics I think are hot, but this one comes up quite a bit, I feel like, in every one of our conversations, right? And it's about search, but it's about the new type of search. So every decade, it feels like there's a new type. And this one is AEO. And we found a LinkedIn post a couple of weeks ago with a founder who went viral claiming that AEO was basically 90% BS. And that you were spending a ton of money trying to figure it out. But is this just kind of SEO, but maybe rebranded? And so we've brought on our team here, and we want to welcome Jeff today from Breezy Hill, who's going to help us dig in. So welcome, Jeff, back to the show.
Thank you.
And I want to this is a little bit of roundtable, a little bit of let's just dig in. But, you know, my gut is telling me, just based off of what we know, that it really isn't a scam. And so that's my take, is that it isn't a scam. And I want to hear from you all whether you feel the same way. And then let's dig into why or why not.
Nice. Well, good morning. Nice to see you guys. Glad to be back on here. Jeff, thanks for joining us. We really appreciate it. This is a topic that I know is near and dear to your heart right now. So I thought that this LinkedIn post was really interesting because, you know, he was clearly drawing attention and sort of being controversial. And he raised some really good points, I thought, but ultimately, I don't know that I agreed with him. Jeff, what was your take?
I think there's some pros and cons to what he said. The analogy, maybe don't throw out the baby with the bathwater. I think there's definitely some things out there that are maybe not worth your time, but there are definitely things worth your time. So I think you make good points, and, you know, if it makes people question their methodology and so on, it's good, but might have been, I don't know if hyperbolic is the good phrase, but so anyways, some of it's true, but a lot of it isn't. How's that? You want me to,
And just
do you want
to
kind
quote,
of give an overview of what the post is, or?
yeah, or we could just read it like IMO, the AEO playbook is 90% bullshit. He wasn't, we wasted 1 year and tens of thousands of dollars figuring this out. That's his opener. So I kind of love that. Yeah.
Which is a very bold statement, right?
Mm-hmm,
I mean, and I would say all of us have been spending time, effort, and energy getting deep on AEO. And I think, you know, if I look at my business, that was not a bad investment. I don't think we spent like crazy money, but we did invest time and we did invest resources. And we tried to do it thoughtfully. But I think there are companies that went like balls to the walls. And I don't know if that's what's necessary to be successful. I think there's a thoughtful strategy out there. But I'd be curious, Jeff, what's your take on the pluses and the minuses? Where did he get it right? And where do you think he hit the no button?
Yeah, so I think there's some validity and there's some supporting information out there about some of the technical stuff you do, like adding these LLM, I think, test files to sites and things like that. I think the part where he missed it, and also another thing is ranking is really hard. Like ranking your prompts, that is really hard. And there's some truth about those tools that give you ranking of how you're doing with your prompts because it's so dynamic. And the LLMs are so much faster at ranking things than search engines were. All right. So having said that, the metric you have to look for is traffic, and then ultimately, you know, the quality of those leads. First off, what you need to focus on is your brand and your messaging and be consistent. But also, one of the biggest flags for these you know, answer engines and LLMs is how, it's how good is the quality of what you're doing, and also posting and having content on other sources like Reddit is consistently considered a great place to go out there and engage or drop posts and things like that. And you want it to be organic. You don't want to, drop a post with 16 links to your different services and you're saying that silly emojis. And respond. Find posts that are relevant and get yourself out there. And I think reviews are solid. Clutch is coming back as a good source. I don't know if it ever left, but we got a little stale for us. Anyways, so Clutch. But anyways, the point being these highly qualified sites where you can engage, get good reviews, and also make sure your messaging is consistent and following some of the strategies in regards to how you create your content. I think you want to start your pages or your articles with posing the question of what you're talking about, the answer. So the part about metrics and some of the technical stuff, I think there's definitely validity to it, but there's also a lot of information out there. For example, that the quality of leads that come from the Claudes and ChatGPTs of the world are higher quality. There's an article out there I saw, and I can drop a link to it, where we're sort of talked about their 4 times conversion rate for LLM leads versus
Wow.
just organic.
That's great.
So,
Incredible.
and again, it's your brand, your consistency, how well you're writing, is does your website engage, and so on. It's all the other things. But I guess long story short, there's some validity to it. But I think as long as you're following best practices, getting good content, being consistent about your messaging across your site and your social media, and getting yourself out there, that your ability to rank is there. And you have to put human content. So the formula we always follow is we'll get ideas off of AI, but then ultimately we have a writer, review it, update it, create it, and just make it look like a human wrote it. I think those are the top points. We could dive down into more of the technical stuff, but I don't want people's eyes to start glaze over. So I guess the bottom line is make good content, be consistent, and put yourself out there in a good, positive way, obviously.
Yeah, Jeff, thank you. I think so. The content topic, I think, is it's similar to the one that we all know, that's near and dear to our heart, because we've been kind of trying to optimize content for decades now, right? And this is just, I think, another flavor of how to optimize content, not so that it's scannable for humans, but so that it's scannable for these agents and these crawlers, right? And so there's a way in which you have to structure your page, and then you mentioned the text files, and there's even, I think, different types of like schemas. And I heard some folks are dabbling in like putting vectors in their HTML so that agents can actually, it's like, a series of ones and zeros that agents can crawl through. And I'll be honest, like I remember texting somebody on my team as soon as I heard that and was like, oh my God, is this something we need to look into? But I want to zoom out. I'm like, this is just what's interesting about this content optimization is things are changing so quickly that it's these agents and these LLMs are getting smarter, right? These models are getting smarter. So it's almost like sometimes I feel like if I put in all the effort and the money and the time to try to optimize something for where we are today,
you've already missed
tomorrow,
it.
It's going to be completely different.
And I think that's exactly what he was trying to say in that piece, was like, you're optimizing for something that like 6 months from now looks totally different, right?
And I feel that. Like, I do feel like I'm just constantly trying to chase like, okay, well, what is the thing?
What's next?
Yeah, that these models what's the best way for me to try to optimize this? And, we inherent, like as an organization, we've been trying to just create more markdown files because those are the best ways that, the models can absorb information in the quickest manner. And so that part of it is like the part that I feel like is going to be consistent, that like, yes, you just need to make sure that the content that you're creating is structured in a way that these models can read them quickly. That's the part. It's that they need to be able to absorb it quickly so they can synthesize it.
Hmm.
So that I think is like the content piece. I feel like isn't new to us as marketers. Like
Yeah.
we always have been kind of chasing it.
But it's not new to us, but I think that we ebb and flow. We go through these phases where we're like, oh, content isn't king anymore. Sort of we had the chapter of content is king, and then, well, no, that's passé. And I think that part of his argument is brand and content are really essential. And I agree with that. Like, I think that part is right. Like, in conjunction with these technical changes, but really content is still super valuable. Valuable content, brand awareness, brand placement, and valuable content are still the things that ultimately drive value. And I think that's kind of great, honestly. It's good to be back.
Yeah.
For sure. And I would say, this may show my bias. I don't care. I think content is forever valuable. And to say that it's not, I think is incredibly short-sighted. I think content allows you to tell your story and to show your value, right? And I don't think there's a world in which that is not important.
Right.
Prove me wrong, but that allows you to come forward and tell the world why you belong and why they should care about you.
It's also the part of marketing that I like the most. Is I like the idea that you're creating marketing that delivers value to your prospect, and to your client. I think that's the most interesting marketing, and the marketing that I can feel the best about is that. So, it's understanding what the problem is and then being able to deliver something that is in fact helpful in some capacity. Amazing. Sorry, Jeff, you were going to say something?
No, I basically reinforce what Nisha said. Yeah. Well, what you're all saying is create good content, create the structure around it, but doing the schema and stuff is easy. There's so many, for WordPress sites, I use something called Rank Math, and they just make it easy to add schema and things like that. Something people are doing, though, that is a mistake, and, there used to be the black hat, white hat, that probably still are method of SEO, is that the LLMs are a lot smarter about figuring out what is not good practice. So some companies have pushed out, automated FAQs. You can just, drop this widget on your site, and it'll just update your FAQs. And no, don't do it.
No.
Don't fall into that trap.
Because Claude's like, that doesn't sound right. So yeah, it's just genuine, consistent. Yes, value, definitely value. I just saw an article about emails. Show your value, show your, what's your timeline for showing your value? And that's obviously varied by market, but that's just, that's part of the combination of good SEO content and good human messaging.
But
that's all I wanted to add.
Reinforces the message that I think that we've been talking about for a while, which is AI is a great tool, but you still need the human in the mix.
Yes.
It's in my opinion.
Yeah.
In all of our opinions, let's be clear. I mean, everyone thinks that the bots will just solve all of our problems. Have at it, friends, but that's not going to be our recommendation.
Yeah.
I agree. I think where people I think for AEO in general, the brand piece of it is essentially that it's not just your owned content that is the most important. It is you making sure that you're showing up properly in all of the third-party tools. So it's not just optimizing your own website, but it is how are you showing up on Reddit and on all the other places that that your brand is present. And I think that piece of it is a piece that, from a scalability perspective, oftentimes, we have a hard time trying to be okay, well, we've been so concentrated on just optimizing our website. And then now it's this plus all of the other things too that matter.
It's always more, right?
Yeah.
And that is the challenge too.
Yeah. So here's my big thing with, it's not necessarily what he said, but I guess it's the reason why I think he felt like this is all BS and it's all noise is because ultimately what's hard about AEO is that the attribution model itself gets so much more complicated and effed up.
Yep.
Because it's not just your website, it's like the sphere of things.
All of it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you're so it's not like this one thing that you did drove this one lead to go and click on this thing anymore. It is like this 16 things that are out there. And the data part of it, I think, is more effed up today than it was 10 years ago. And I feel like,
100%.
Amanda, we've talked about this one time because I was like, why does it feel like it's harder? Like, it's harder for me to figure out.
Yes, because it is. I was just having that conversation with someone yesterday, and I was like, well, over here it says this, and over here it says this, and here it says this. And I'm like, it's all of these things. And at the end of the day, the only thing that your leadership team really cares about is this driving pipeline? Can we show, right? And are you investing in the things that are ultimately going to drive pipeline? And all well and good, but like, it's so nuanced and mucked up in the details that like, it's not a single thing. It's not like, I'm just going to throw more money on Reddit, or I'm just going to throw more money on this specific channel, because it's not, we're not living in a monolith here. Like, we've got to be thinking broadly.
Yeah. I
agree completely. And I think it's been tricky for a long time, and it's just getting more and more complicated.
Yeah.
Especially when you look at these enterprise deals where you have several different people or many different people influencing the opportunity.
Totally.
And so then you're tracking multiple touch points, multiple recipients. It's, yeah.
I'm curious, Jeff, how do you currently measure AEO with your clients right now?
That's a great question. I mean, I think primarily we're looking at traffic. Like, what's it coming from? You can chase the prompts, and there's some strategies there if you find prompts that are working for your competitors and so on that you could target. But ultimately, what kind of traffic are you getting from these things? Assuming you're following, the best practices of the moment, I should say. But yeah, tracking prompts and ranking for those things, that, like I said earlier, that's one of the tools that's just like, it's too dynamic. It's moving too quick for that to be a really good measurement. I think you have to look at your traffic and maybe look at like what kind of engagement you're getting offline too. But yeah, ultimately I would say it's traffic we look at, and the quality of that traffic that comes in, what percentage is engaging and converting and so on.
Nisha, how are you measuring it?
So we've got all these third party, because everybody that was an SEO tool now has like a way to measure AEO. And it is around traffic and some of the things that we're bringing. But again, I feel like it's often a black hole, right? Of trying to figure out, because it's a culmination of, well, we have quite a bit of an audience on Reddit itself.
Right.
And so trying to manage that side of the house of, okay, we need somebody to be active on there. We need to make sure we're consistent from a brand perspective. And then also tying that to, well, what is that actually? Because I don't necessarily have like a full way of seeing that conversion story. And it might be because there's, it takes time and new into this role. And so I haven't fully been able to see that full loop. But my worry, much to this founder's worry, is the over-indexing. Right? Sometimes I worry that we over-index on things because it's like the hot new thing. And I've only got so many resources at my fingertips.
Yeah.
And in the limelight of like me not fully understanding which channels convert the best right now and being new into the role, that's the thing that keeps me up at night, is that I'm like, I've bet on certain channels, right? I've like placed my bet and I'm like, I think it's these 5. But the thing that I worry about is like, is it really these 5? Because I'm kind of going in blind right now. And I feel like the data part of it is the part that like I used to be able to have easy access to. And it just feels like it's, to Amanda's word, it's a muck. And I'm in the muckiness right now.
For sure. We're very much in the muck.
Yes, it's very mucky.
We are using our standard SEO tools that now have AEO combined. So SEMrush and tracking the prompts there. But I think, looping back to the earlier part of this conversation, I think our focus is really on what's happening on the client's website, and are we delivering traffic there ultimately? So,
Yeah, I think it's SEO plus. You're still doing old things, making sure you get markup, good schema, making sure your site is, showing up for people, but also, more emphasis on the outside and then the consistency. So, yeah.
HubSpot has a solution in beta that they're adding people to, but we haven't gotten our hands on
Oh,
that
the
yet.
AEO
So,
tool.
mhm.
Yep.
Yeah, so that'll
What's
be
that?
interesting.
What is that? Or what are you hearing about it? No
I
idea.
don't know anything yet. Don't know anything, Jeff? We're
I
on
played
the
around.
list
Some
for
people
the
got
beta
access
tool.
to it, and then they took it away. It's I don't
They
know.
weren't ready to release it?
No, I don't know. I think I found it somewhere, or someone shared it with me. It's an AEO analysis engine. It does all the things you want. It looks at your content, looks at your site. It kind of gives you ideas and so on, and evaluates, what you're doing.
Yeah.
I thought, as far as user friendly, it was really good. It's not one of these, SEO tools that have 16,000 different options, and
That's helpful, right? In a world in which we are banded on time, ease and simplicity are really important.
Mhm.
yeah, yeah.
So I'll say, wrapping this up, I think like maybe we could all just share just like one thing that we're doing, that even if it's like a tiny step, right, that we're doing just to make sure that we are keeping our eye on the ball when it comes to AEO, and that we're seeing something that works too, maybe. So I'll go first. I think, from my perspective, it's really about, with the stuff I control, my own content. If I can't do everything, right? Like I can't, I don't know, do the Jeff's schema example plus like the vector stuff, and I can't do everything. It is just, if I just focus the team on structure and inherently, hey, build the layout, the structure itself, plus the content itself, in which it is easily scannable and these models to be able to absorb. And we sort of check the box there. That's my big win, is that like, let's focus on structure and making sure that the structure itself is easily sort of transmissible for these models. So that's been this past quarter what we've been focused on, with a lot of like the content that has been working for us already. So like doing an audit of what our highest search content was, and let's just like improve that, right? That's mine. Anybody else want to share?
So I think content structure has been that's been on my mind throughout this entire conversation. So yes to that. I think the other thing that we've been focused on is making sure that we're doing all of the background work around FAQs, product overviews, etc. Things that not everyone needs to see, but we need to make sure are on our website in an effort to ensure that we're addressing those questions that are coming up through these agentic, search engines. And I think I'm going to just say one more, which is ensuring that we're continuing to align to the kinds of searches that we know we already have. We've tested things on Reddit. It's been less effective for us. And so I think we've leaned more heavily on other channels like YouTube, et cetera, to try to expand.
That's cool.
Um,
I defer to
you go
Jeff
ahead,
on
Laura.
this one. No, you go.
Well, I mean,
Leading the charge for us.
you can cover more of the strategy. I'm going to be more of the back end stuff. But it's going to say, right, I'm really trying to focus and testing our schema and making sure that it's right. Because a lot of times you can set up even tools to do your schema, markup, all that kind of stuff, and they're missing things. So I think that the testing and using Google's tools, looking for schema setup and rich text and things like that, are so important to like constantly making sure validating what you're doing is right. Laura will talk about our content strategy, but for the back end, that's what I'm looking at to make sure that the LLMs can understand what we're doing.
For us, I think probably the biggest thing is just to be super relevant in what we're talking about from a content perspective. I think that it's a broader approach of just really locking in, like when we have a conversation like this, or we have a conversation with a client or prospect and it clicks. It's like, this is a topic that people are twisting on. We're trying to get that content out right away. Like, whereas in the past, it would go more into planning and thinking. It's much faster right now. Like, this is relevant. This is what somebody's twisting on. Somebody else is twisting on it too. Let's get it out there. And just trying to be really, again, value driven in our content and consistent in our brand. And then I leave the technical side of the house to Jeff, which is lovely. Thanks, Jeff. But no, I mean, that's really truly what I'm thinking. And I'm not dialing it in so much as this is my AEO strategy, but this is just how we're looking at the business. And with our clients, it's the same kind of thing. How can we help them be of value in the most authentic way in an AI world? Because that's it.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautifully said, Laura. Well, I think there's consensus here that, the post that we're referring to, which we will make sure that we link out so everybody
Yes,
can
we
see
will.
that. So in general, we all believe that AEO is not BS.
Nor is it going away.
No.
Right.
And we all are making strides towards being more effective and optimizing not our brand, our search, may it forever change, and ensuring that, we're keeping our eye on that horizon because, yes, things will start to evolve as always in our world, which keeps us young and thriving.
Or gives us more gray hairs, but it's fine. Yeah, either way.
Look what it did to me.
Thank you all for joining today. I think lots to come from this topic. I think, I see us having multiple conversations as this evolves. And so appreciate everybody bringing their perspective. And we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Thanks, Nisha. And thanks for bringing this to our attention.
And thanks, Jeff, for joining us.
Oh, yeah. Always
fun.
A pleasure.
Thanks for going off script with us. If you like what you heard, don't forget to follow, rate, and share CMO's Off Script. We'll be back soon with more raw insights and real conversations with the voices shaping modern marketing. Until next time, stay bold.